Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Taylor was heartbroken and Nick was angry. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful from August 4th to 8th, 2025 say that Taylor Hayes will be crushed and Nick Marone will be sickened. Like we always do on Early Edition Day. We speak about what's coming up this week and then we talk about what's coming up next week. Brooke goes crazy on Bold and the Beautiful. I'll catch you up quickly if you're behind on shows this week. Everybody is in Italy for Forrester. Everyone who matters. And we have seen Nick wanting to travel over to Capri so he can sweep Brooke Logan away and possibly gain her heart. But Eric Forrester tried to kick him out of the gathering. Brooke got angry because she had to act like a relationship with Ridge Forrester when they weren't. Brooke is weary of media pestering Ridge about his and Taylor's engagement. Brooke finally lost it. She stormed out of the gathering to glare at the gorgeous blue waves of the Mediterranean. Ridge followed and then requested that Brooke come back inside and finish the event. She's getting pretty upset with Ridge. Brooke stated she's weary of him stepping on her heart. Bold and Beautiful early spoilers August 4th to 8th. Taylor crushed and Nick disgusted, soap dirt. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Shalia confronts Lee. Back in L.A., Sheila Carter informed Deacon Sharp she's concerned because Lee Finnegan is not answering her texts and calls. Then the woman in question shows up to pick up takeout from Il Giardino. Sheila demands to know what Lee did with Luna Nozawa's remains so she can say goodbye and find closure, but Lee's not giving answers. We also observe her medicating Luna. Lee is praying for the best, even if her granddaughter/niece remains unconscious. Sheila's suspicion and Luna's mysterious condition in Bold and the Beautiful. On Thursday, July 31st, Sheila suspects that Lee knows something about Luna Nozawa that she's not telling her. Lee is being incredibly secretive when Sheila asks if her granddaughter Luna was buried or if Lee sprinkled her ashes elsewhere. Sheila just wants to be able to say goodbye to Luna. She actually thinks she's dead. Of course, we all knew she wasn't because Brad Bell couldn't write a surprise to save his life. It's crazy, so predictable. But Lee is smart. She might have lied and just told Sheila, "Oh, yeah, I spread Luna's ashes at the beach." Then Sheila would go out there, say farewell, and stop asking about Luna. Instead, Lee is dodging and weaving because the text is so predictable. This is going to lead Sheila to do some spying. I imagine Deacon is quite supportive of Sheila this week. He is soothing his wife, although Deacon truly detested Luna for killing his friends. But Deacon is trying to be kind about it because, as far as he knows, Luna's dead and gone. Meanwhile, Luna is not on a ventilator, so she is breathing on her own, which is a good indication. But Lee appears pretty frightened. She's determined to save Luna's life. We'll get additional scenes of Luna unconscious on Thursday, where Lee has gotten her tucked away. Brooke's emotional breakdown and Nick's bold move in Italy. In the midst of Brooke's emotional breakdown on Capri, Nick walks up on the two of them and Ridge snaps and tells Nick he's not part of this talk. Ridge tells Nick to go away, but he's not going to. Brooke is somewhat divided as Nick encourages her to come with him while Ridge demands that she stay there. This is the last straw for Brooke. After Ridge and Nick dispute, it appears like Brooke tells Ridge to screw off and she walks off with Nick. Brooke seems to have finally struck her limit with Ridge, which makes sense considering he is the king of confusing signals. I do expect that Eric Forrester is lurking and watching. If he sees Brooke heading off with Nick, Eric's going to urge that Ridge stop this and get back with the woman he's meant to be with. Also on Thursday, Spencer tells Electra Forrester she should try modeling for Forrester Creations, but she claims she is a jewelry designer. That's what she does. As they're conversing, Will's phone chirps and he kind of laughs. He's going to tell Electra that it's amazing. They know it's not Luna texting him anymore. Now, it's understandable, but Will and Electra sure are dancing on Luna's grave. Little do they know, no tomb to dance on. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Taylor Hayes, Nick Marone. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Taylor Hayes, Nick Marone. Will and Electra's conversation, and Nick's proposal plans in Bold and the Beautiful. On Friday, August 1st, we're going to wind up this week with more of Will and Electra's talk, continuing with him again, pastoring her about modeling, at least when Brooke's not present. The question is, can he coax her into it? That Remy Price event may have Electra more interested in keeping her privacy and staying behind the scenes. Looks like we may get a talk, practically, just like the one they had on Thursday. We know how Belle loves to do that. Back over in Italy, Nick is making great preparations to propose to Brooke aboard his yacht. We're going to watch her and Nick enjoying lunch out in Italy with a gorgeous view. Looks like they are going to be on the boat. Also, this week, Eric encourages Nick to give up on Brooke and not propose. Of course, Nick's not going to listen to Eric. He's got big plans. Upcoming life or death drama and production errors in Bold and the Beautiful. At some time early next week, we have significant things, life or death stuff happening in Italy. The big accident that we know is coming thanks to Brad Bell giving an interview to an Italian magazine, not believing it was going to wind up translated in America, and we translated it. You can view it here. The week of August 4th to the 8th, Finn uncovers a clue. He just noticed Liam Spencer's incision is too little to have been used to remove a big, malignant brain tumor. Here's what's funny. Grace chopped up the back right side of Liam's head, quite evident in the medical scenes. Yet while Finn was examining the incision, he was on Liam's left side checking the back left of his skull. There should be no incision there. This is some shoddy production work. Grace overheard Finn. She may try to run and conceal her tracks or just go away before she is busted because Bill Spencer informed Liam the procedure cost $1 million. That's going to be a massive red flag to Finn and Bridget Forrester when they hear about Grace collecting that much money. They're going to realize their suspicions are right. She's up to something sinister on Bold and the Beautiful. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Shalia finds out Luna's alive. Very soon, Sheila is going to realize that Luna is alive and Lee is sheltering her. Then, early next week, we're going to have Ridge's big aha moment. It looks like Brooke has an accident. She's in danger, and Ridge leaps in to play hero. That's when he understands Brooke really is his fate. Nick may not get the chance to propose. Or maybe he pops the question and doesn't get an answer. Also, something is amiss with Nick's boat. That's why the mechanic was messing with the steering wheel. It appears like something happened with the craft, and Brooke may tumble overboard. She's going to end up at risk, and at the end of it, she's going to get back with Ridge. Nick's going to walk away from Brooke, likely permanently. Once Ridge tells Brooke he prefers her, obviously that's it for Nick. He doesn't stand a chance. Brooke cares about Nick, but Ridge is her soulmate, her destiny, all that wonderful stuff. We're going to have the montage of her life and their romance flashing before Ridge's eyes while he's fighting to save her. Eric, of course, is going to be feeling triumphant about all of this. But Ridge is also going to be dreading what's ahead with Taylor when he gets back to LA because she is going to be crushed. She's undoubtedly going to be furious since she assumed as soon as Ridge got back they were going to start arranging their wedding. But that is never going to happen because Brooke has abducted her boyfriend yet again. We'll also have more of Luna struggling for her life. But the issue remains, what kind of life might she have left? She either needs to run away or face arrest. Taylor Hayes stood on the balcony of her hotel room in Rome, shaking, peering out over the distant cliffs of Capri, the wind gathering in her hair as a crushing wave of betrayal poured over her like the sea below. She'd crossed oceans for Ridge Forrester again. She'd followed the flimsy breadcrumbs of hope that maybe, this time it would be different. That the engagement diamond he put onto her finger just weeks ago actually meant something. That Brooke Logan was finally out of the picture. That maybe this trip to Italy, this so-called Forrester International Media Showcase, wasn't just a convenient pretext for Ridge to relive the golden years with his everlasting fallback, Brooke. But all of that illusion crumbled the instant she caught a sight of the headline in Italian tabloid ink. Brooke Logan, Ridge's forever muse, returns to Capri. Taylor's throat clenched as she remembered Ridge escorting Brooke into the spotlight, hand in hand, as photographers clicked away like it was 2006. And then came the photographs of Nick Marone getting off a yacht, storming into the gathering with a smug smirk and diamond ring in his pocket, ready to win back the woman who got away. Taylor felt her stomach churn. That woman was Brooke. Again. And Ridge, inevitably, was caught halfway between a domineering Neanderthal and a lovesick teenager. The very next day, Taylor watched from a distance as Brooke, eyes streaming with tears, walked out of the press line and down to the edge of the rocky waterfront. Ridge followed like he always did. Taylor didn't have to hear the words to know what was happening. It was the same blasted screenplay she'd watched replay like clockwork for 30 years. But what crushed her wasn't just the kiss Ridge and Brooke shared after their heated argument, not just the impassioned way Ridge begged her to come back inside like a queen reasserting dominance, nor was it the way Brooke's eyes softened in response to Ridge's plea. No. What destroyed Taylor was what happened next. Nick arrived, stepping between them like a tidal wave. "Let her go, Ridge," Nick hissed, his voice low yet dangerous. "You've had your turn, your chances, your screw-ups. Let her go." Ridge shoved him. Of course, he always did when he didn't know what else to do. But Brooke didn't flinch. She just looked at both men, shook her head, and went away, but not alone. She walked away with Nick. Taylor watched it all happen from above, locked in her hotel room like a ghost in her own existence. She had been planning wedding colors. She had just spoken to Steffi that morning about floral arrangements. She had hung on to the thought that Ridge, her Ridge, had finally chosen her over Brooke. But now, it was apparent as the Italian sunlight. She'd been used, exploited, positioned like a prop to buy Ridge time until Brooke collapsed again. A painful cycle Taylor resolved to never re-enter, and yet here she was, injured and humiliated yet again. Meanwhile, Nick Marone was having his own reckoning. He had come to Italy with a diamond ring, a bottle of champagne, and a boat dubbed Destiny's Course. He had every intention of whisking Brooke away before Ridge could blink. He'd secured lunch reservations on the cliffside and had hidden violinists waiting to serenade them after she said yes. But none of that happened, because by the time he had Brooke on the deck of the yacht, when he gazed in her eyes, the same eyes that once saved him after the loss of his brother, the same eyes that made him believe in forever, he saw it. He saw Ridge, still in her, still nagging her like a perfume she couldn't wash off. He watched the way her palm trembled, not from anticipation of his proposal, but from the residual heat of Ridge's clasp on her wrist earlier. And so, with a heavy heart and a lump in his throat, Nick placed the ring aside. He never even asked. He understood he wasn't stealing anything. Brooke was never his to begin with. Nick felt disgusted, not with Brooke, but with himself, for believing she'd ever stop loving Ridge. For believing the years, the distance, the history, and his restored spirit meant he was any match for that kind of chaos. He was repulsed not by her, but by the pattern they were all caught in. And when the steering wheel on his yacht began to sputter, just like the mechanic warned, Nick realized fate had a twisted sense of humor. Because moments later, with a shudder of the engine and a snap of misaligned gears, Brooke Logan slipped on the slick wooden deck, tumbled over the railing, and into the Mediterranean Sea below. Nick screamed her name as he dove in. Ridge, watching from the nearby dock, raced and leapt after her. And then it happened again. Ridge saved her. Not Nick. Not this time. And as Ridge cradled Brooke's shaking body on the rocks, whispering, "I choose you," Taylor slumped into a chair in her suite and buried her face in her hands. Somewhere deep down she had known. Back in Los Angeles, a storm of its own was brewing. Sheila Carter had grown suspicious, too suspicious. Lee Finnegan had been ignoring her calls, refusing to meet face to face. So Sheila did what Sheila always does. She followed her. That's how she found Lee entering the basement of a small, private clinic under cover of night. That's how she glanced through the blinds and saw Luna Nozawa, alive, breathing on her own, her pale face tucked among white blankets. Sheila nearly fainted, but she didn't yell or storm in. She softly moved away, already preparing her next move. Meanwhile, Will Spencer laughed with Electra Forrester, unaware that the joke about Luna messaging him from the grave would soon become profoundly unfunny. Will had no notion that Luna had never been buried at all. Back in Italy, Brooke awoke in Ridge's arms. She felt warmth, terror, and something else, finality. Nick waited on the dock, drenched and silent, watching the couple rejoin like clockwork. Eric Forrester smirked behind his champagne glass. Everything had gone according to plan. He had secretly disabled the yacht's steering system, afraid that Nick may possibly win. He knew Ridge and Brooke simply needed a push and a fall into each other's arms. Nick knew it too. He blamed himself for coming, for believing. He silently packed his luggage and left Capri that night, outraged by what he'd almost been a part of. When Ridge returned to Los Angeles, he was a hero. But Taylor? She was devastation in fancy heels. She didn't cry in front of Steffi or Thomas. She smiled, nodded, pretended to comprehend. But when she arrived home, she shut the door, took off the ring Ridge gave her, and tossed it into the fireplace. She didn't even watch it dissolve. She just walked away. And that's when the actual story began. Because Taylor Hayes was done being the fallback. Nick Marone was done playing second fiddle. And Sheila Carter was just getting started. And somewhere in a locked room in L.A., Luna Nozawa opened her eyes at Ridge's caveman act as fans done. Brooke deserves better than this toxic cycle. Ridge Forrester's caveman mindset bursts in Italy as he can't bear Nick Marone proposing to Brooke. But wasn't he just engaged to Taylor? Fans are done with this destructive cycle. Ridge's caveman mentality exposed. Italy drama proves he sees Brooke as property, not a partner. The most infuriating love triangle in daytime has fans screaming, "Oh, my God!" Just when we thought Ridge Forrester couldn't drop any lower. The Italy plot has exposed him for exactly what he is, a selfish, hypocritical Neanderthal who uses Brooke Logan like his personal yo-yo. And fans? We're done. Absolutely, utterly. Throw our remotes at the TV done. Let me paint you a picture of complete hypocrisy. Soap enthusiasts. This man, this Neanderthal of a man, literally deserted Brooke because she had the courage to defend her daughter Hope at Forrester Creations. Called it a betrayal. Ran directly into Taylor Hayes' arms. Got engaged to Taylor. But wait. The second Nick Marone comes up in Italy and dares to look at Brooke with true respect, Ridge loses his mind. 35 years of toxic possessiveness, and we've had enough. Listen, I've been following this show since the beginning. I've seen Ridge marry Brooke's mother, her sister, his own father's ex-wives. Through it all, one thing has been constant. Ridge Forrester wants to treat Brooke as he pleases. But God forbid another man offers her an ounce of genuine care. The Italy drama, it's the perfect representation of his perverted worldview. Picture this. Ridge arrives in Naples for a fashion presentation, allegedly dedicated to his future with Taylor. He's moved on, right? Wrong. The instant he observes Nick taking Brooke on a romantic boat ride, offering her the love and respect she deserves, Ridge's furious anger erupts like Mount Vesuvius. And then, Nick proposes to Brooke, offers her a future free from the continual back and forth, the constant betrayals, the tiresome cycle of being Ridge's backup plan. Does Ridge respect Brooke's freedom to move on? Does he accept that he left her? Of course not. The heroic rescue that has fans rolling their eyes. Now here's when it becomes completely insane. Brooke falls into the water, and suddenly, Ridge has an epiphany. One dramatic rescue later, and he's seized with the conviction that Brooke is his soulmate, his destiny. Really? Where was this destiny when he was calling her backing of Hope a betrayal? Where was it when he was sliding an engagement ring on Taylor's finger? Where was this earth-shattering love when he was storming out of their home again? I'll tell you where it was. Nowhere. Because Ridge Forrester doesn't genuinely love Brooke Logan. He enjoys owning her. He enjoys knowing she's there, waiting, whenever he decides to favor her with his presence. Fans are speaking out, and we're not holding back. Social media is on fire with viewers calling out Ridge's poisonous actions. One fan perfectly summed it up. He's a malignant narcissist who sees women as property, not partners. Another wrote, 35 years of watching Ridge treat Brooke like his personal yo-yo, and I'm done. The verdict is clear. This isn't romance. It's possession. It's control. It's a man who demands full loyalty while offering none in return. And poor Taylor? Once again, she's been selected, lauded, engaged to, only to be abruptly dumped the moment Ridge sees his ownership of Brooke endangered. She deserves better than being his safety net. His tissue he blows his nose with whenever he misjudges Brooke, as one spectator bluntly but rightly phrased it. The exhausting pattern we've seen too many times. Let's break down the Ridge Forrester playbook, shall we? Step 1. Brooke does something absolutely typical. Step 2. Ridge considers himself betrayed and goes off to Taylor. Step 3. Ridge and Taylor get intimate, maybe even engaged. Step 4. Another man shows interest in Brooke. Step 5. Ridge has a surprising realization about destiny and true love. Step 6. Ridge dumps Taylor and gains Brooke back. Step 7. Repeat. Forever. Until the end of time. We've observed this cycle for 35 years. The particular specifics change. Sometimes it's a commercial issue. Sometimes it's a misunderstanding. Sometimes it's a deceptive ploy by a family member. But the underlying relationship never alters. Ridge never apologizes, never expands, never acknowledges his double standards or his harmful actions. He just swoops in with grand gestures and assertions of destiny, and we're supposed to swoon. Not anymore. Is this really destiny or just dysfunction? The show constantly pushing this notion that Ridge and Brooke are destined to be together. Executive producer Bradley Bell has even declared that Brooke is destined to win Ridge back.